Hi, hello everyone. Hello. You're all welcome today to today's episode. It's great to have you here on this show. And oh my God, today is the first day of a new month, the month of August. You're all highly welcome. Happy new month, our viewers and those connecting. I'd like to know where you're connecting from. Please just state your name and where you're connecting from. Thank you so much for being on this show. Congratulations on being on this journey to making a difference with me. I'm so excited that you're getting on this journey with me. We can both become that change agent we're all called to be. And on this show, Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh, we do not only train, teach, but we mentor, coach on how we can become better versions of ourselves in the areas of our finances, business wise, career, leadership skills, and relationship and more. We learn from other people's stories and life experience, just like we'll be bringing our guest speaker today. She is Nicole Simmons. I'll be bringing her on stage to speak and share our life stories and our life experience. Like I said, we that's what we do. We leverage on people's experience of things they've been through in the past to get to our destination faster. And sometimes we do not need to reinvent the wheel. We learn from people so that we can save and also avoid those pitfalls they had in time past whilst on their journey to success. I mean, those who have gone ahead of us, and that's what we are going to be doing today. And before I bring her up on the show today, I would like to read about so that we know the person we're bringing up. Nicole is a maximizer. She's also a potential releaser, an encourager, and a positive ball of energy who challenges ourselves and others to cultivate the best versions of themselves. She believes that personal growth is the key to maximizing your fullest potential. And when you commit to this process, you are unstoppable. Nicole has coached and trained women and teams with tools and strategies to unleash their fullest potential for over 20 years. That's awesome. In our weekly podcast, Take Action Podcast, Nicole has reached 6 countries with over 5,000 downloads with authentic, honest, and practical conversation and tools to empower and inspire women to be themselves. As a new amateur bikini bodybuilder placing fourth in first competition, Nicole uses the principles she learned during a life-changing transformation to help motivate others to step out of their comfort zones with courage and strength. Nicole is the CEO of Nicole Simmons Leadership, Director of Communications and Marketing at Music School International founded Recharge Women Leadership. She's a certified trainer, coach, and speaker with the John Maxwell team. I'm so glad and so excited to bring her up stage this evening. The next voice you'll be hearing is that of our guest speaker today. Hi, so glad to have you this evening.
Hi,
I'm excited,
Sandra.
and I'm sure you too.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so much,
having me.
girl. Thank you. Great to have you.
Yes, it's great to be here.
Thank you. And I just read your short bio, but a lot of times when we bring people on stage, we like to hear from them what they've been doing in their space.
Yeah,
And that's some things I didn't read in your bio that you're doing privately. You might
yeah.
want to share with our audience. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for again for having me and thank you and welcome to your audience. I think that this is going to be a treat for you and a learning journey together. And for me, kind of what I'm doing now, you read my bio, but I still speak, train, and coach. I work with organizations, program management, leadership development. I take a small cohort of coaching clients from time to time, and I also love physical fitness. So I actually competed in my first bodybuilding competition last year, 2021, and I've endeavored to do it again this year. So I'm actually in training now to compete later this year, and also do have a podcast that I love. I'll be in my season 7, actually 7 seasons, episodes, over 50 episodes at this point have been recorded, and just really connecting and helping to help women to grow and develop and be their best self. So those are some of the things that I've been up to, and everything else that you've kind of read in my bio. So those are some of the things that I'm into right now.
Great.
Yeah,
I like to find it from you because one of the reasons why we do this, we want to help people
yeah,
have a good grasp.
yeah.
Sometimes you find out at a young age, see going to college as once I'm done with high school, what else? Just to make money. But
Right.
I want to, try to, make it explicit. The reason why they need to go for higher learning. Can
Hmm.
you explain and let me know what informed what you studied in college?
Mhm.
Are you using it presently now to, take care of yourself? Is that what you're practicing? Or if you have shifted, what informed all the process while you read something different and you are pursuing something different? Can you please speak to our audience?
Absolutely. Well, I when I first decided to go to college, it was a dream come true for me because I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college. And so my parents were proud of me, my community, and I also wanted to be a good role model for my brother and my sister. I was very much into sports when I was in high school, so I've always kind of been an athlete, and I really wanted to help people. And I kind of discovered, my knack for wanting to help people and help them improve their potential. I didn't know it was called that at the time, but I really wanted to do that. And so when I first went to college, I went to study physical science. I wanted to be a physical therapist because I liked helping people and I had kind of that athletic background as well. So that was my major. Physical science was my major when I first went to college. And when I started taking my classes, I soon discovered that the more science classes I was taking, it they just didn't gel with me. I got bored in my classes. I didn't enjoy it anymore. But I did like kind of the hands-on side of it. I did like getting into. I like the psychology behind how people rehabilitate and how they kind of overcome their obstacles, but I didn't really enjoy kind of the science side. So I didn't do as well within some of my science classes. And I had a real honest conversation with one of the department heads of my major. And he was like, Nicole, if you are struggling now and you really don't like it, you might want to consider changing your major because you're going to have more science classes. Right. And so one of the questions that he asked me really kind of was a turning point for me, Sandra, in my college career. He said, what is it that you really, really want? What is it that you really, really see yourself doing? And the first answer that came to my mind was, I said, I really want to help people. And he said, in what way do you want to help people?
Oh,
And at the time, it didn't come out in the way that I'm saying it now, as I'm thinking back on it, but it was to the effect of, I want to kind of help people understand who they are and live better and be better. And
mm,
some of that was from my upbringing and some of the things that I've had to overcome. And some of that was, wow, I feel like I really have a natural talent or a natural gift to really help encourage people. And so it was my college professor that redirected me to a different major that he thought might fit what I was looking for, and that was social work. So
wow.
I made a transition after my freshman year to study to go into social work as my major versus the physical science major.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm. And see, that's why sometimes it's good to communicate. Good to
Yes.
speak out. It's good to, believe in people because if you had struggled to get
Mhm.
into science, you'd have gotten in deeper and
Yes.
you probably wouldn't have been at your best.
I
You would have
wasn't.
just been an average student
Yes.
trying to thrive and just to come up with something, just come up with a degree.
Right.
So I'm glad, you said you had a flair for helping people rehabilitate and you're glad you discovered your strengths. I'm
Yes.
glad your professor spoke to you because a lot of times people go to school and they do not engage. They
Yeah.
just go for classes and they strive on their own to see how they can become best. And even when they are struggling, they do not find like a mentor or someone they can speak with. I was
Yeah.
glad that you met someone who was able to redirect your strengths from being a physical scientist to a social worker. So
Yeah.
meaning that you love to help people, you're glad to what they really want, and what way do you want to help people? You found out that you want to help people find out themselves,
Yeah.
discovering themselves, which is actually what we are having now in our time. The newer generation do not and have not yet discovered themselves, and that's why we have what is called identity crisis. Most times you see them follow peers, not because they want to follow peers, but because they do not even know themselves.
Yeah.
They do not have values for themselves. Because
Hmm.
once you have your values and you know yourself, you know what you are in the scope of where God has placed you, you tend to want to follow what you have been called to do. So, how would you identify that, and how would you help in, for the youth who are probably having what you call identity crisis?
Yeah. And I think you raised a good point, right? I think it's a natural thing, especially when like you're in high school and then maybe your first years of college, around that age bracket where it's normal to sometimes kind of follow what other people are doing. You're trying to figure out life, you're trying to figure out yourself. And so I don't want anyone that's any of the young adults that are listening to this to think that there's something wrong with them if they are in that space, right? It's very
Yeah,
normal to feel like that, right? We
yeah,
go through that. That's a part of the discovery process. It's staying there and parking there where it becomes a challenge and it can become a problem. And so I was like that as well. I was trying to just kind of figure out what I was doing, and it felt like all of my friends knew, they were clear. I felt so torn when I was really struggling with my classes. Like, this is not it. I don't know what's it. It's just not it. And it wasn't like by myself where I just all of a sudden like knew exactly what I wanted to do. When I said I reached out to my professors, but I was also talking with friends. I was also talking with my mentor who I had at the time. And I was also praying for myself. I have a personal relationship with God, and prayer was very important during that time. Just kind of being silent and quiet and listening and asking God to lead me, to reveal to me what was really in my heart, and having the courage to kind of sit in the silence and listen to that. And also hearing kind of my friends, as well as my mentors, my family, kind of hearing from them, what do you see in me? Because sometimes other people can see things in you
you
that you
were
don't
not
see
seeing.
yourself,
Sure.
right? And that's a part of the discovery process too. So I think all of those things together helped me and helped to navigate me towards that direction. And one of the things that really helped was kind of writing down all of the, like, what my strengths were, who I saw that I was, like writing those things down and
Yeah.
leaning into that and accepting that. I think sometimes, with when we're at that age, people struggle with it at different points. But when you're at that critical time frame of kind of deciding what career path and what you're going to study and where you're going to go, sometimes it can be challenging because sometimes we don't accept who we really are, right? And it was conflicting to me because the area of study that I wanted to go in, the messages that I heard about being a social worker were not very positive. They were, you're not going to make a lot of money, you're going to struggle. And, it was seen as kind of the low totem pole in terms of career. It's not that prestigious. So having those voices and that kind of those thoughts to battle with also was challenging for me as well, to really go pursue it and accept, no, I have a gift to encourage people. I have a gift to help people. And this major is going to help me with that. But sometimes the struggle and the identity crisis can be from messages that we've maybe heard about the area that we want to go and pursue, right? And so that was a struggle for me as well. But within myself, I knew when I sat and I talked to the new department head, and I began to look at the classes that I was going to take, and what I could do with this major. It was just it was almost like a piece of a puzzle. It just came together, and I was like, this is me. This is me. And I accept that because this is me. And to your audience, to the young people out there, you know, regardless of what other people might say about where the direction that you know it's you, and it may not fit the box that maybe other people have put you in or you've put yourself in because of what society may have said, or maybe your family structure, or maybe what your parents have said, or maybe what friends are doing, and that box doesn't fit you. But when you hear it, or you see something like, and you know inside like there's like a piece, and it seems like the puzzle just comes together, and it is, this is me, this is for me, then that's the direction that you go in. And it doesn't matter what other people say or do, you know that it's right for you. And eventually they'll come along, or they won't they won't be a part of your life, you know. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's in terms of when did I know, it was a process. But when I started to walk in that direction, and I kind of got that peace within me, like a knowing like this is the right direction, I walked in that direction. And I began to ace all of my classes in my major. Like I was an excellent
Mm.
student. All my
Sure.
major classes, I did great. Now, some of my other classes, I had to study a little harder, right? But my major classes, like all the classes from my major, I leaned in because this was me. I was hungry for it. I loved it. I still had to study, but it was like I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the process because it was me. It was connecting to me.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a great one. Knowing yourself and
Yes.
knowing what you want. A lot of times, whilst in the journey of life, people may not accept you what you're doing presently. But
Yeah.
if you know that you're having inner peace, as in you are a round peg being put in a round hole, go ahead. Meaning
Yeah.
you are having inner peace. That's what you did. Because you had inner peace. It's only a matter of time. Before
Yeah.
you know it, the people who are against you will begin to reckon with you because they know what you want. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times people what they suffer is when this person says this person says this. There are so many contracting and distracting voices. So
Yeah.
you've got to know what you want to do. What are your strengths? What are your passion? What do you do easily?
Yeah.
Yes, identity crisis can come not knowing yourself and also not knowing what program or what course, what subject to pursue in school. Like you said earlier on that you went from physical science to social worker. You could have as well. So, oh my God, physical science is more prestigious compared
Yes.
to social worker. And
Yeah.
because you're looking at what people are saying as regards to a career, you get yourself stuck in there.
Yes.
But you saw a reason that you were asking questions, you have a mentor. So you talk about having a mentor, which is critical. A lot of our
Yeah.
youth these days do not have anybody to talk to. Nobody they
Yeah.
talk to, nobody can scold them, nobody can, put them, advise them. So you spoke about one critical factor, having a mentor, and also speaking out. You can't bottle all the things in yourself. No one is an island of knowledge. I
Yeah.
myself, I still have a mentor. Just like Nicole said, she also, even at she's a coach. She has a mentor. She has somebody she listens to. We must all have someone we talk to, somebody who can, say, sit down here. This is what is right. This is not right. And sometimes you just have to listen and go back and pray because the person too is also speaking from his own inner or head knowledge, just
Yes.
as a support. So you don't have to accept everything like that. Sometimes you have to go and pray to find out, is this what God is saying, or is
Yes.
it what you want to do, or is it what you're being called out to do? I was glad that you didn't listen to your inner voice, the voices around you saying social worker, they're not well paid, it's a
Yeah.
lower. Yes, because the moment you know what you want and you pursue it, it's only a matter of time. The
Right.
people who are against you will come for you. They will begin to support you. So that was very encouraging for me, knowing what you want. And you're finding out that after a while the jigsaw puzzle, everything fits together.
Right.
So and you're able to fly. That was a great one. And then how did you cope? Is that what you've been pursuing since you left school as a social worker? Is that what you are doing presently?
Yeah.
What are you doing presently?
I,
Is
I
it
usually
social worker? Did you diversify? Did you put did you get into other areas to say, okay, social work is not just enough. Let me try other things and build up a good career for myself.
Yeah, that's a great question. I usually, what I share with people normally is that I'm always a social worker. I'm a social worker at heart, right? I gained skills while I was in school, right? I learned the skills of connecting and relating to people. I learned how to work with groups and facilitate groups. I learned about family dynamics and people dynamics and community dynamics. Like I learned these skills while I was in school. And so in terms of the career of social work, because it's so broad, social workers are deployed in almost every industry that you can take these skills as a social worker and you can apply them to whatever field. For me, I decided when I graduated from college, I actually went into the children and family sector, and began to work with children and families, utilizing my social work degree and my skills there. And it evolved because when I was working kind of in that sector, I began to dabble into training and realized that I loved training. I love to help people develop and learn new things, to think differently, to go through a process. And it was kind of compounded. So I still utilize the skills that I learned when I was in school and when I graduated, utilizing my degree. I've stayed in that vein of helping people to develop. I've stayed in the vein. So it's just kind of blossomed like a tree,
Yeah.
where I started working in family and children's services, and then I began to get into more training and development, and then I started getting into coaching. So it kind of branched off, but the base remains the same. It's because I wanted to help people. So social work was kind of my foundation
It was a platform for you to build on.
to build on, right?
Yeah.
So I have not veered from that. I'm still in that vein of training and development, but I have that social work foundation that I use all the time.
It's
in
actually a very great one
work.
because as a
Yeah.
social worker, you can fit anywhere because you
Yeah.
work with humans.
Yes.
Social means being able to, relate with everyone on a
Everyone.
social level.
Yes.
So being a social worker, you're able to fit in the hospitals. You're able to fit in as a social worker in schools. As a social worker, you're able to fit in everywhere
Yeah.
because you
Well,
work with
friends.
humans. You work
Yes.
with people. So you must be sociable enough to be able to relate with them, to be able to
Yes.
get, information from them. Because a
Yes.
lot of times people suffer from depression, people suffer from a lot of things. And as a social worker, if you're not so sociable, you might not be able to get information from your clients
Right.
or your patients or whoever you are talking to, because you must be able to find out ways you can get information from them.
Right. To
Yeah.
help them. Right.
Yeah.
So and so there's different veins that you can go in. You can also go into kind of the clinical side of it, where you become a therapist and a clinician. And I did some of that work, but I learned kind of earlier on that that was not
For
the
you.
vein that I really wanted to stay in. I really loved the training side of it, the facilitation side of social work. So I began to develop my skills in that, and that's where along my journey in my career, that's why I became a certified speaker and trainer with the Maxwell Leadership Team, because it fit for where I wanted to go, right?
So
So that's there's different veins, but I social work was a foundation for me to build upon that I still utilize today because
it's
it
a great
fits,
one.
right? It fits. So I'm still on that same path.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because
Yeah,
with the social work, it's a foundation for so many other things. And
true.
knowing what you want and veering off to a pathway that you loved. The clinical was not favorable to you. You wanted, the human relating, facilitating, training, and helping people build themselves to become better versions of themselves.
Yeah,
And knowing that, okay, for you to be able to run as an expert and a certified coach, you did all the certification, you did all the trainings to get skilled and become a master in what you do, which is awesome. So, and that's a great one. And I think our viewers too, we pick that you need to have a foundation. You need to know what your strengths are, and you need to build on it. It is said, what will you do when your foundation is faulty? If you don't have a right foundation, you can't build on it. The moment you build on it, it will come crumbling. It wouldn't last for a long time. Or
Right.
at the end of it all, you'll be frustrated. You wouldn't get the kind of satisfaction from such career that you want to go after. So a lot of times it's good we have the right platform, the right foundation, knowing what you want and going for it. Yes,
Yeah.
people might speak you out of it. People might tell you that's not the right one. People might tell you it's not prestigious enough. It's not paying good money as other jobs are paying. Know what you want, build on it, and go for it. The most important thing, knowing what God has called you to be, called you to do. Once you're able to find out that, you're just on the path to success. It's only a matter of time. Like John Maxwell said in the 15 Valuable Laws, he says success is not accidental. Success is planned.
Mm,
So knowing what you want and planning it and going all the way for it, that's what success is. And we have gone beyond just being successful in life. We've gone to the level of being significant. Success is not just enough, as he said. Success is just the basis for everyone. But being significant is going the extra mile to give back to the society. The extra mile, like what we are doing presently. Nicole is
right.
giving me all her experiences, sharing her ideas with me, and also with our audience, what she's done in time past, and giving back to the society, trying to give back based on our wealth of knowledge. And that's the same thing we are doing. We're going just beyond being successful in our chosen career or field. We are going back to say, okay, what do we do to add value to the people around us? What do we do to add value to our world? How do we make our world a better place? How do we make a difference?
Right.
That's what she's saying presently. I want to encourage our viewers. You can make a difference in your world. We all have a
Yeah.
platform to succeed. We all have a platform, to thrive. So I want to encourage you, make a difference in wherever sphere you find yourself. We'll be taking a short break, maybe a minute break. I'll use that opportunity to show my book trailer. Thank you. Hey, welcome back. Uh, Thank you so much for that short break. And one of the reasons I just take up time to just show it because a lot of times when we speak, I don't even remember to go back to my book to speak about it. But sincerely, the title of the book says, "Can anything hold you back? Can anything stop you from becoming who you're called to be?" And basically, it's actually ourselves. We stand in our way from becoming the best versions of ourselves. If you can overcome yourself, overcome the troubles you go through, you can become the best versions. A lot of times you say, "Oh, I'm not too good. Oh, I don't think I can do that." If we rightly start speaking to ourselves, self talk, start telling ourselves we can do it, start telling ourselves nothing is stopping me. This 2022 is going to be my best year. Say what you want to be, and it will come to be. You understand? So, and we can make a difference in our world. So, I just quickly, push in that before we go on with the show. Thank you so much for the break, and we're back again. I also want to find out from you, have you managed your career with your relationships, your marriage, and every other relationships? Because a lot of times I know that with women, our job could be taxing. We have the family to cater for. We have the church. We have extended families, and we're in school studying, adding more feathers to our hearts,
Mm.
having more degrees. How have you been able to cope with all the relationship, making sure you're not burning any bridges?
That is that is a that's a whole show in itself. But Just to kind of to speak to that, for me, one of my top strengths is relator. And so what that means is that I really thrive off of meaningful, deep relationships with those that I have relationships with. And it takes I take it very seriously, and it's a priority for me, and it's a strength, right? So really, when I get into relationships with people, I'm really seeking a deeper, meaningful relationship. So I'll put my energy and investment into relationships with other people.
Yeah.
And in terms of how I've been able to manage that with my career, at times it's definitely been a challenge because of how I'm built, right? Because of my strength, where I've had to place boundaries around making my my growth and my goals a priority over other people's growth and goals. And what I mean by that is because I'm a relator and I love kind of connecting with people and being in relationships with people, there have been times in my life where I would like kind of neglect or put what I desire to do on the back burner to help somebody else, and my things are not getting done. And that's gone for also within my marriage, within my friendship relationships, even my professional relationships, because I like to help people. And
Yeah.
there may be some of you out there that are just like me. You're quick to go and help other people, and you're
Yeah, not
cheering them
helping
on,
yourself.
right? Helping them with their stuff, helping them with their goals, but you go lacking. And because it's relationship, right? And especially if you're one of your top strengths is relator, or you like to be in relationship with other people like that. So I had to recognize that, because and how it came about, Sandra, was through frustration, right? I found maybe at the end of the month or the end of a quarter or the end of the year, I found myself frustrated with certain areas of my career that I wasn't where I really wanted to be or thought I should have been based on the goals that I had set, but I wasn't putting in the activity and the work in my career versus what I was doing with my relationships. So I had to place some boundaries around putting what I needed to do first, making priorities in my own space in order to pursue the things that I really wanted to see happen in my career, along with my relationships, right? I am married. I've been married to my husband, Brian, for the last 15 years. We'll be celebrating 16 years very soon. And my marriage relationship is a priority to me, right? But I've had to, even within my marriage relationship, I've had to put the right boundaries so that I am not neglecting the things that I desire to do, and just going after what my husband desires to do, or forgetting about who I am and putting all of my energies into him. And so for those that are, young couples or young women, that whether you're married or you want to be married and you have this idea that you have to, choose one or the other, choose career or marriage, or choose
Yeah.
career or family and children. I don't think that you have to choose one or the other. It's just a matter of knowing and setting the right
Balancing.
boundaries,
Yeah.
right, in place, and putting yourself first, valuing the gifts that God has given you, valuing the strengths and the calling that God has given you, and making sure that you're honoring that. And
Yeah.
if I can share with the audience, the one thing that helped kind of set my mind on that I've learned and kind of stumbled and struggled through at times is Proverbs 31:17 has been like a foundational passage for me in terms of setting my mindset and really helping me to come back and set those proper boundaries. And it says that it says that I am to strengthen myself spiritually, physically, mentally for my God given assignment. And so that is a challenge. That's a charge, to me and to every woman that I like to encourage with that, because it's saying I'm responsible for strengthening myself in these areas, right? My career is a part of that. The mental, the physical, strengthening myself for my God given assignment, what God has called me to do. And so I can't neglect that and saying, well, I'm married or I'm helping a friend. I'm still responsible for strengthening myself. So I've had to place boundaries around myself in order to be able to have the good relationships. And then
That's
the last thing with that is there are some relationships that, you know, that you go through seasons, and then you categorize those relationships, right? Not, you
Yeah.
can't be close to everybody all the time. It
Yeah.
just, it doesn't work. And then there's some relationships that for a season you might be in relationships with other people, and sometimes you got to let relationships go. and
Yeah, you do.
and that's healthy, and it's a part of growth as well. So, you know, that's a whole show within itself. But those are some of the things that I've had to do in order to have good relationships, kind of maintain that, and also have a career that's fulfilling and satisfying to me.
Awesome. You spoke about three major things. You're setting boundaries, having the right priority, and balancing. Boundaries in the sense that I'm a relational person. I love relationships. And a lot of times I've got my fingers burned because while trying to help people and listen to them and help solve their problem, you find that your own problem is there waiting for you to come and solve. So by the time you're done with them, you don't have any more time to tackle yours. And so
Right.
there's this thing that even in the plane, when you get to the plane, when they tell you that in case there's an emergency, you
Yeah.
have got to help yourself first. Because
First.
if it's your living, you can help your child and help your neighbors. So, and that's why when they come with a nose mask. You fit in your marks first before you do for somebody else. And it is expected, even in the kingdom principles. You help
Yes.
yourself first. It is when you see value in yourself that you can help others. If you
Yeah.
value yourself less, you cannot value your neighbor.
No.
So first thing first, we must love ourselves. God's
Absolutely.
love is there for everyone. But loving yourself and knowing what you want to be and achieve, and also setting your boundaries right. Because everyone will call you. Sometimes there are calls I don't pick in the morning because once they call you, you will talk for 3 hours, not achieving, not reading your Bible, not doing anything. I
Yeah.
leave them to be the back burner.
Yeah.
Surely I will return your call, but they are
Right.
not priority to me at that moment.
Right.
Because the moment I take such calls, I may end up not doing other things. So you've got to place your priorities right. Like a speaker spoke, Nicole said, your priorities must be right. Even in relationship, even in your marriage, there must be priority and there must be boundaries,
Yeah.
places and things you will not do at certain times. You must first
Yeah.
of all help yourself. It says in the Bible, have you removed the log of wood in your eyes? Before removing the log of wood in somebody's eyes, whatever you're doing, are you a success already? So if you want to become a teacher or a coach, you must be a success in a particular area or field. Are you
Yeah.
a success in something? Do you have a chosen field that you're running with? Be a success there, then others will follow you. Men
Yeah.
and women will come around you because they want to glean from you, they want to learn from you. So, with all we are saying is get yourself together first, be emotionally balanced, make
Mm.
sure there is a balance. Nothing must suffer. You have children you have to take care of, you have a spouse to take care of, you have you're running a career program you have to do, you have a business you have to. Everything must be balanced. Knowing your priority. God first, yourself, then family. Because if you're in health, you can take care of your family.
Yeah.
But if you're not in a sound mind and you're somewhere in the hospital on a sick bed,
Yeah.
your family will go on. Life
Yeah.
will go on with them. Somebody will pick up where you stop. Even your spouse will move on and pick another spouse, and life goes on.
Right.
So, first thing first, take care of yourself, place your priorities right, set boundaries, and have a balanced relationship. And sometimes it is said, what forms you depends on the books you read, the relationship you keep, and the environment you grow. So those are three critical factors for anyone who wants to be a leader, who wants to be, a change agent. What are the books you're reading? Are they books that have values that stands out? Who are the people you're hanging around? Are they people that draw you down? Are they people that are pessimists and they will never see anything good in you? What environment are you in? Is the environment conducive for your growth? So, like she rightly said, some relationship would have to go.
Yeah.
Some relationship, because you have to make them go, or sever the relationship, break such relationship, it could be painful. But you've got to weigh the options. Are this relationship helping you to get to your dream goal? Would this take you to your destiny points? Or is this drawing you back from becoming your best versions? You have to weigh the options and see which you have to leave. And so all the time we'll go for the best. Strengthening yourself. You must be in the right frame of mind to be able to help others. If you're not in the right frame of mind, you cannot lead. You cannot lead.
Yeah.
You cannot lead at all. You can't. So with all you've spoken, it's been so enormous. And have you been able to manage just being a leader? Do you have any other side business you were managing? Any other thing aside from people's managements? Because sometimes I know that with women, we do a lot of things. Our hands are in a lot. And a lot of
Mhm.
times I tell you, gone are the days that people says, jack of all trade, master of none. But
Mhm.
this time around, we are jack of all trade and we are master of all. I make bold to use David as an example.
Mhm.
David was a priest. He was a shepherd. He was a drummer boy. He was, a praise singer. David was everything to God, and God said he was a man after God's heart.
Mhm.
So I often say that you can be involved in so many things and be skillful in all of them. So, how did you manage it with all of the businesses you put together, being a coach, also being a trainer, and being in a competition? Have you been also being able to manage it?
Yeah. Um so that's a good question. And I think too, what's important to point out, I believe that, you can be involved in many different things, just not all at the same time, right? There are different seasons and time frames for things, right? So my husband and we started a music school. That was a dream of his heart, to start a
Yeah.
music school. And so that's one of the businesses that we have. And there've been seasons and ebbs and flows with that. In terms of my level of involvement, I utilize my strengths in the business. But what I do now in the business, I'm the director of our marketing and communications, and that takes a level of energy and time. But I wasn't always doing that. I was doing other things before that within the business, and had to kind of step back and do certain things. So I wasn't doing, my level of energy and involvement with our music school business has shifted and changed over time. In different time frames, I'm doing certain things. With my professional and personal development company, it again ebbs and flows. I don't take on too many clients at one time. I say, okay, kind of what season am I in right now? What are my goals right now? And this is how many organizations I might want to work with. This is how many individuals I might want to work with, and I stay within that time, that space of what I know I can manage, or the capacity that I have. In terms of my podcast, right? I do my podcast in seasons. So I'm not doing my podcast year round all the time. It's certain time frames and it's scheduled. So, and I have, my husband's very good with scheduling. So I utilize his strengths, and we kind of sit down and map out, okay, what's time for this? What's time for that? What's time for this? And I'm on that schedule. So I do believe you can do many different things, but I don't believe you can do it all at the same time, because we can only
Yes.
put our energy in certain places, right? In order to be successful, to be great at certain things, to master and to do it with excellence, it requires energy. And if your energy is spread out in too many different places, you get burnt out, and you can't maximize your fullest potential that way.
Yeah.
So I believe in segmenting, right? So I segment
Right.
my energy,
Distribution.
and be able to give my energy to certain things at certain periods of time. As it relates to my physical training, this is a goal that I have, a dream of mine, to compete, and I did that. But even now, I have to segment my time, and I'm not training all year, right? It's for a specific period of time, and then I'll have kind of a lull time, and then you know I'll kind of look at my goals for next year. So I think particularly for women, right? This idea of multitasking and just kind of being busy and doing all these things. I used to really buy into that and thought, yes, I can do so many different things. But I realized, Sandra, was that I didn't feel fulfilled, to feel like I was really able to see the real fruit that I wanted to see until I said, okay, I'm going to segment it. I'm going to put things on a schedule, and so that I can utilize and put my full energy into certain things at certain times. And
Yeah.
so, and whatever works for you, it depends on, what your financial goals are, what you're desiring to do. I have a certain financial goal that I wanted in my business, and I said, okay, for this season, I I'm going to go after kind of larger contracts so I don't have to work with so many different people, because my energy can't be spread out so much because I know that I'm training. And then during the same time, okay, my podcast will be in kind of a break for right now, and then I'll start back up when I'm kind of getting a little bit done
Yeah.
with certain contract. Then I'll
Yeah.
start back up the podcast. It'll be a certain period of time. So it's a cycle, right? You put yourself on a
Yeah.
schedule, right? So I think for those of you that are listening, and you have many hats that you might wear or different things that you might do. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, because I think that you can do different things. But where you're putting your energy is what is so important. And so you have to look at the whole picture, and don't do it by yourself. It can be overwhelming. Get a coach, or if you have somebody in your life that can help you map out where you're putting your energy at certain periods of time, because you can't go full throttle 100% of the time all the time. Like, that is not how we're built. You have to have downtimes, ramp up, downtimes, times of rest. And so if you find yourself where you're in just a frenzy and you're just on, you're in hustle mode all the time, that's not healthy. It's not healthy for you. It's not going to help you feel productive or successful. And I'm saying it from experience, it will not. You might feel like it because you're busy, but busy doesn't mean productive.
Yeah.
So help hire a coach, get with Sandra, get with someone that can help you, right? A mentor that can help you map out where you can put your energies to maximize that potential, so that you can do the things that are in your heart to do, because you might have multiple things that you desire to do, but not
Yeah.
all at one time. It's
Yeah.
just,
True.
it doesn't produce the fruit that you think that it's going to produce. You'll get burnt out,
Yeah.
and then
True.
you
What
won't
you
do
said is true.
anything,
True.
so um, that's what I would say to that. And if you don't mind, this one thing that I wanted to go back on that I didn't mention, in terms of the balance of relationships as well. For those of us, like I said, I have a relationship with God. I'm a Christian. I've served, in terms of church when I was younger and older. um, and you have to put boundaries around that too, because sometimes young people will pour all their energies in kind of serving at church, but they're really not developing themselves, right? And then 10 years goes by and they're like, I thought I would be more successful because I gave all my energies at church. Well, no, you could have been developing a skill over here. You
It
have to
must be a
put
balance.
boundaries, right? There's got to be balance. You got to, put some boundaries around that, so that you can you can put your energies in the right place at the right time in those relationships. So again, that's why having a coach or a mentor is important, because they can help you with that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't serve in your church. It's wonderful, and it can help you see your skills and your gifts. But it can't be where you devote 100% of your time because you don't have anything. You're not. People say, "Well, you're young. You have all this time. You need to, give this time over here." Not true. So I wanted to just say that too. So I could go on and on, but I know, we you have your
Thank you
show.
so much. You
You have
spoke
a
so
time
much. You spoke about cycle. You spoke
frame.
about segmentation. You spoke about rights distribution. You spoke about balancing and scheduling. Scheduling your time and boundaries. Boundaries are very, very critical. You
Critical.
must set the right boundaries. Otherwise, you put all your eggs in one basket. You'll be found doing something while other areas of your life are suffering. Just like she rightly said, it's not anything wrong serving in a church, but you also must be developing yourself all around. You want to be a 360-degree personality. You want to be a change agent. You want to be a leader. Then you must be found doing all this, having the right priorities, having a circle and a segmentation of what you need to do per time, and having the right distribution of energy, and you balancing everything together, having the right schedule so that you know what you're doing per time, and based on that you're able to put your energy in the right place, And it is said there's certain part of your job that you do that just with 20% of your energy, you get 80% returns. So
Yeah.
with that, you said scheduling is very essential. You look at your skill sets. Look at the ones that give you the more, like she said. She goes for bigger contracts that will give her, a bigger chunk of money. So she doesn't have to run all over the place, getting 100 clients, and she's not able to deliver. And before you know it, she's burning out. Knowing your priority, knowing the parenting principle that says, look at the areas of your life that when you give the least effort, the least strength, you get much more returns. Then look at those other areas that you can delegate. Look at those other areas that are not essential and they are not do or die, such that you can leave them at the back burner and get to them later on. I want to thank you for your time. It's awesome. I know that if I keep asking you questions, we will be here all day. Perhaps you have a last word you want to say to our audience before we call it a day. Do you have any word you want to say? I have so much to recap, but I don't want to keep you longer than necessary. It's meant to be a 30 to 40 minutes show, but we're already in 50 minutes, so I want to wrap it up. Do you have a word you
Yeah.
want to say to our viewers? Just to say good night and have a blessed evening.
Yeah, well, thank you for leaning in and tuning in, and for those of you that are kind of circling and wondering, where should I go? What direction should I go in? I would tell you to just pause for a second, pause and listen. Go into a quiet place, get your journal, and just sit and listen and write. And ask this question: what is really in my heart? What is really speaking to me right now? That's a question that you can answer. The other, what is something that I would do without, like, it comes so easy to me, and I would do it even if no one paid me to do it. What would that be? And it may not be necessarily a career occupation type thing. It could be, well, I would help people with their animals, or I would help people get over their challenges with their mindset. Whatever that is, write that down. Just in some quiet time, sit with yourself, for those of you that are circling. And for those of you that are full throttle and you are burning the candle at both ends and you are just go, 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 I would challenge you to really connect with a mentor or a coach who can help you to really prioritize yourself, because you can't go at that speed for long periods of time, right? That's why even in a track race, a 100-meter dash, it's over just like that. And then they have to recover. They can't go like that for the entire time of the track meet. So I would really challenge you to re-look at or prioritize your reorder and get some priorities in place where you can have some boundaries so that you can have some downtimes to recharge and refuel and to keep going. It's normal to feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure. It's okay that you don't know what to do, right? Let's Sometimes we kind of put young people this pressure on them, like, you got to know what to do. Okay, when you go to college, you got to figure it out. You got to do this, you got to do that. None of us knew like exactly what we were doing. Like, you don't know how the future is going to be, but you can prepare yourself for that. So if you are in a place where you don't know what you're gonna, like, you just don't know, that's okay too. And sit with that, and pray for people and seek out people that can really help you to navigate that space so that you can be directed towards the right thing and just take one step. It doesn't have to be 50 steps, it can just be one step. And maybe that one step is asking for help. So that's what I would say to that person. And thank you so much, Sandra, for having me on your show. It
Thank
was
you
a
so
pleasure.
much for making the time. I
Yeah.
want to thank our viewers, everyone connecting all over. Thank you so much for staying put to the end of this show. I really do want to appreciate you. And if this is your first time of being on this show, please kindly hit the notification bell, and subscribe so that you can often get more updates from us. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Do have a nice evening. Bye until our next episode. Do have a blessed evening. Bye.